Okay, I want to show you here real quick a very brief version of a way to make a sign in Mastercam. So the first thing we need to do is make our sign parameters here and figure out how big our sign is going to be. So I can create a line. And so what I want to do is, remember we talked about origin programming. So I want to start by going up to my X, my Y, and clicking 0, 0. Then I always click up off to the left. That way right now I know where my 0, 0 is. I know where my origin is. So that way I can go ahead and I can make myself a rectangle at the origin. Now with our CNC we always work off to the upper right hand quadrant. So I'm going to go ahead, drag it up to the right from the origin. You can see once again 0, 0 shows up in these two boxes when I hold at the corner. I want it to be approximately 20 by 6 for my sign. Click the check mark, and I now have a rectangle. So I'm going to go ahead and add some text in there and go up to create letters. We'll say Mr. Pesavento as my text, and it's already on Engravers MT for me. So I'm going to go ahead and put that on there, and it's also on top of the arc. If I want normal, I'll just click horizontal. I'm going to go top of the arc, and I'm going to put it a little bit steeper. Maybe we'll do an 11-inch arc. So click the check, click there, but remember, since I have it on an 11-inch arc, it put it 11 inches high. So select my name here, Xform drag, and I'm going to shift her on down in there. Sometimes when you do these longer Xforms or the bigger objects, it tends to get a little bit laggy. So click where I want it. Remember, I'll always click the check mark, and that's right where I want my sign to be. So that's a good format there. It's a good font. I'm happy with that. That's good enough. So let's add some art in there. So I go to art. Remember, if I was already in here, so normally you have to click start art, and I'm going to browse the classic design library, and let's see what we can come up with. Go to the art library, arrows. Oops, that's not what I wanted to do. Hang on there. Seemed to have logged out. So go back to browsing the classic library. Go back to the art library. And let's find something a little bit interesting. Fish. Let's see what's good in the fish one. So maybe I want to put big old catfish on mine. I'll open up the catfish. I'll say, okay, I want my fish right about here. I don't want another one, so I'm going to click escape. And we can see here that I need to make this fish a lot bigger. So we will Xform, scale it. Remember to click the translation base point in the center. I'm going to make my fish a heck of a lot bigger by just clicking and holding here. And that seems good enough for now. For the sake of this sign, we're just going to call that good. So maybe I want to put a little round on my sign. I'm going to go ahead and throw a fillet on there. And what the heck, we'll throw a 1 inch as it comes up. Click around there. Add a little flair to our sign. And there we go. That's a basic sign. I'm going to use two different toolpaths here. I'm going to use engraving, and I'm going to use a contour to cut this out. This guy's going to be a little finicky though. I'm going to have to use a really small bit to cut out my catfish here. So anyways, first thing I have to do is go up and I have to add the machine. So I need to go to the machine, router, and hit the general, and it'll get me the generic Techno router. That's what I want to see up there. I can then go to my toolpaths, and I'm going to engrave my name first. So I'm going to toolpath, engraving, Click that, and I'm going to go through and click, manually make my chain for everything I want engraved, just to make my life a little easier. I could use the window command, but with my fish being so close there and my letters on a curve, it's going to be just as easy for me to go through and manually select it. Click the check mark once I have everything select. For the library tool, I go to select library tool. I want to use the 1/4 inch 60-degree bit, or number 9. You see it'll come up over here, 1/4 inch 60-degree. From there, I want to set my engraving parameters. They should all be absolute. And my depth, I'm going to go 1/8 of an inch. So I'm going to go negative 0.125. Remember to always make your depth negative. If you set a positive depth on here, you're going to end up having it just cutting air above your equipment. So now you can see, okay, everything is coming up green. To double check it here, I can go over to the verify selected options. Click this screen, and it's going to take me to this option, which I can hit the isometric view, and I can go through here and double click to make sure everything's good. But you can tell up here I seem to have clicked Mr. Pozzavento a few times when I was moving it down, so remind me later on to go back and delete all this. But I'm happy with that engraving. Everything looks good. Everything came out fine. That engraver's font is meant for engraving, so it makes my life a heck of a lot easier. Now, I have my engraving toolpath done. You can see everything's over here. I want to go up and I want to now cut a contour. So when I cut the contour, I'm going to manually select my whole fish again. And you can see that sometimes with the art here, it does not necessarily like what you're trying to select. So let's go toolpaths, contour. See if I can't manually select most of this guy. Check mark, and we'll go ahead for tool. This time I want to use the select library tool. I'm going to use a 16th inch bit because he's awfully fine. Depth cuts, I want to turn my depth cuts on. Remember, they should never be 0.1, and my finished cut should be, my finished step should be 0.05. I'll say 1 finished cut for this. I do not want lead in, lead out on. In my linking parameters, I want them all absolute. And I'll do the same thing. I'll go negative 1/8 or 0.125 of an inch. And that will cut that aspect of the fish. But since it didn't like that in the beginning, I'm going to have to cut this side again. So I'm going to have to go to toolpaths, contour again, select the outside. And we might just have to forget this guy. That's going to be a little particular. Or I can go back and do another contour. So I'm going to have to do the same thing again on this one. Sometimes these photos can get a little interesting. 16th inch. And it automatically will set the depth and everything for me if I already did it once. So you can see there, everything is good. I'm going to try to get this guy a contour. We'll see if I can make it happen. There we go. Check it. Select the tool. 16th. You can see, once again, as I just said, everything stayed the same, except we're going to make this one once again negative 1/8, and we'll be good to go. I do want to just double check that last one to make sure that I did it right. Yep, I did forget to make it negative 1/8. So you can always go back and double check by just clicking on your parameters. And now, as you can see, I have my whole fish set up. I can go in and check my paths again in the Verify Tools option. So that one works. The bad thing with this is since I did it in 3 different cuts, I'm now going to have to check it in 3 different contours, which really, that's just part of drawing in Mastercam. Sometimes it doesn't always work the identical way you plan on it. So you can see there, that cut's good. Everything's looking good so far. And lastly, we'll check our last little contour. And it cut everything out just the way I wanted it to. And that is basically it. And what we're going to do now is we will take this and we'll convert this to a G1 to an NC file, and I can save it as final project example .nc, and this will be the final project that we actually send over to the router. And I'll talk more about the router once it comes that time. I'll actually have another video that shows you about the router. So we'll wait a second here. It may take a minute. And this is the program that our router reads. You can see it didn't take me very long to do this. I did it kind of unconventionally, having to do multiple contours, but that's how I had to get the fish to work. But you can see that's 7,267 lines that our router is going to read to cut this program. The router does not understand Mastercam. It understands G-code, which you see right here. Rather than us write 6,000 or 7,000 lines of G-code, it is much easier for us to just go ahead and use Mastercam. So Mastercam automatically converts into G-code for us and takes this and puts this logo on our computer. And that's it. That's a very simple sign that I just made. No major use of X-Forms. I just want to give you a quick example of how to create a sign, and I want you to see it all in real time about how you can make a sign. So once you become familiar with this program, it's very easy to make things very quickly. And I know this is your first time, but it will come easier eventually. So let's get started, and I want to see what kind of signs you can make.